What's going on, everybody? My name is Jake, and welcome to UFC Vegas 115 official picks and predictions betting breakdown. We did the early leans earlier this week, along with the flash recap of UFC Seattle. So this is going to be the video just for the betting breakdown and my official picks. Going to be able to run through some of these pretty quickly. We'll get right into it. If you want to see the ROI and stuff for the year, that's at the beginning of last video. But yeah, let's dive into it. I'm recording this on Wednesday, hoping to get this out on Friday. So some of the odds and lines that I'm going to be looking at are still not out yet, at least on the books that I use, FanDuel and DraftKings primarily. So I don't have all of my bets in, but I have most of them. I'm going to be out of town this weekend, so I want to try to record this early, and might have to package the recap and the UFC 327 early picks together again because I won't have that much time to record. So trying to get ahead of it now. So unfortunately, not all the lines are out, so I don't have all my bets. But for the most part, I have most of them in. So anyway, starting off, this is a new fight that was added, I believe, this week. Dakota Hope against Kai Kamaka III. Dakota Hope making his UFC debut. I believe he's out of the 4-ounce fight club. You know, Michael Aswell, who just fought at UFC London. Joshua Van's, the poster child of that. Kai Kamaka has been in the UFC before. He went 1-2-1, and then fought in, Bellator, PFL, Tough Enough. So he's been on the regional scene a lot. This is like, I said this in my initial breakdown of this card. There's a lot of the 1-800-GAMBLER hotline fights on this, and this is one of them. I'm going to go Kai Kamaka here. I really don't anticipate either betting on anything, or, if I do, it'll probably be Kamaka money line or decision. He doesn't really finish a lot, but, Dakota Hope, he's not terrible, but I don't know. I'm just going to favor the experience here and the point style fighting for Kai Kamaka, and probably get some plus money for him to win by decision. His money line is -148, which isn't bad odds, again, on the more experienced fighter. But yeah, don't see me putting a lot of stakes on this one. I'm gonna say Kamaka wins, but honestly, who knows? The first two fights, first three, 3 out of 4 fights here, I'm not going to have a whole lot of investment in. Next fight, Deone Barbosa and Melissa Gatto. I thought about pick flipping here because originally I went with Deone Barbosa. I'm going to stick with it. I took her money line, probably by decision, but honestly, I could see both these girls. Melissa Gatto's got pretty good jiu-jitsu off her back. Barbosa's got the heavier hand, so I don't think a finish is completely out of the realm of possibility here, but I'm going to say Barbosa gets it done. I don't know. I thought she beat Karine Silva, but, Melissa Gatto, I believe, has beaten Carol Hossa before, if I'm not mistaken. It's like Gatto's not terrible, so if you're taking a dog shot, yeah, she did beat Hossa. Granted, it was all the way back in 2019 on the regional scene, but I definitely would not be, calling you an idiot for taking a dog shot on Melissa Gatto. I'll probably take a point spread on her and parlay it with another women's fight and just write down the card here. So I'm going to say Barbosa gets it done. Her money line's like a -130 right now. So almost a pick 'em, but definitely going to look to see what the value is on the Gatto spread. This is a coin flip one for me. I'm going to lean with Barbosa. I just think she's a little bit better all around, but honestly, who knows? Again, not going to have hardly any stakes on that one. Next one, Azamat Bakoev and Tresean Gore. I think Bakoev knocks out Tresean Gore in the first or early second round of this one. As long as he doesn't shoot a stupid takedown, because Gore has some decent takedown defense, and, he's got a standing guillotine that he could lock in. As long as he doesn't do something stupid like that, Azamat Bakoev that is, I think he should be able to run through Tresean Gore. I mean, Rodolfo Vieira absolutely styled on the feet against Tresean Gore. If Vieira can do that, Azamat Bakoev certainly can. Again, he was a big favorite against Yuri Belgaru. That was a loss that looked bad at the time, but now all of a sudden it looks like it's going to age like fine wine. So I think Bakoev bounces back in a big way here. I'm going to say he knocks out Tresean Gore. I actually already bet on that at +130. but I'm going to also use him as a parlay piece. KO, TKO, or decision is minus 230. To me, that's his money line essentially, because I really don't see him going with the grappling here, especially because that's Tresean Gore's, I think, only path to victory here. So as long as he doesn't pull full idiot and, dive into a stupid guillotine, I think he knocks out Tresean Gore, or at least, makes it look easy over 3 rounds if he doesn't finish him. But honestly, I think if he doesn't finish him, it'd be a disappointment for him. So give me Azamat Bikoev knockout. I took the under 1.5 rounds at plus money as well. And then, like I said, that parlay piece, KO, TKO, or decision is minus 230 on FanDuel. Again, if you're doing these double chances, I would highly recommend going to FanDuel or whatever books you're on. To me, the double chances always have slightly better odds on FanDuel. I don't know what it is. DraftKings is nice because it has the point spreads, and usually the props, like the round props and stuff, are out earlier. But the better odds certainly on the side of FanDuel to me, and at least what I like to look at. Next fight, another 1-800 gambler one. Alice Pereira and Haley Cowan. Like I said, neither of these girls are good. Pereira lost to Montse Rendon in her last fight, which tells you all need to know. But, she was 19, probably had a lot of jitters there, and I'm just going to trust she's improving, by significant leaps in between fights. I would say she's probably not even ready to be in the UFC at this stage in her career. But, despite that, she's going against Haley Cowan, who is just flat out not good. I just see Alice Pereira getting the better moments here on the feet. I could see her getting taken down and maybe not dominated, but controlled. So either way you go with this fight, I'm not going to call you stupid regardless. I'm going to say Alice Pereira gets it done. I think the finishing upside is more with her. I don't know. I thought about taking a dog shot on Haley Cowan. So again, the odds on this are not out yet, but I'm going to look at, her spread line and probably parlay it with Melissa Gatto, who I talked about earlier. But, I keep seeing people saying, what would these odds be if her last name was not Pereira? And everybody assumes that she's related to Poatan. If her name was Alice, Santos, probably be way different, which I don't necessarily disagree with. But my guts tell me Alice Pereira. Don't love it. Probably look at a Haley Cowan spread. We'll see what the odds are on that. Next fight, Lando Venata and Darius Flowers, the battle of the inactives. But like I said, my initial picks, I don't know what it is. I'm just more confident than Lando Venata than I probably should be. I think he's fought the much better comp. He's actually won in the UFC. And yes, I know he hasn't fought since 2023. Darius Flowers hasn't exactly been active either. He hasn't fought since 2024, and he's yet to win the UFC. And if I'm not mistaken, he's got a boxing history as well. And this dude's been knocked out a lot. So I just don't think, honestly, neither of these guys are probably UFC level at their stage in their careers, but at least Lando Venata's been in there with guys like Tony Ferguson, some really solid UFC comp. Darius Flowers, he's been in there with some decent guys too, but he's lost to all of them. Michael Johnson, Jake Matthews, Evan Elder. So yeah, he's been in there with some good guys as well, but I'm going to go with Venata here. Long layoff. But, he's 34, is not super old yet. And again, this guy's actually won the UFC, although his last fight was a loss to Daniel Zellhuber. Definitely wasn't a good look, but, or at least now, probably at the time, it wasn't so bad, but now that's aging pretty badly. There's something sticking to me that says Venata is going to, win a 30-27 here. So give me Lando Venata by decision. I'm going to use a bonus bet on him to win by submission as well, because Darius Flowers has been submitted 6 times before. Decision is plus 220. Submission is plus 350. And then I'm also going to take this fight to start round 3 at minus 118. This kind of reminds me of the Eric Anders Brad Tavares fight that was also on an Apex card, where it's, 2 lower level, Venata's older, So they're not quite as old as Tavares and Anders, but they're inactive. So I don't know. It just smells like a low output, slow pace, 29-28, 30-27 win for Lando Venata. So I'm going to say the fight starts round 3 at minus 118. And then there's 2 method victory props for Lando Venata. Next fight, Alessandro Costa versus Stuart Nickel. Quite frankly, despite the fact that Alessandro Costa was a big favorite and dropped the ball against Alden Correa, albeit that is a win that's aging much better, a loss that's aging much better, I think Stuart Nickel is pretty bad, at least for UFC standards. I don't think he's going to be able to take down Alessandro Costa. And even if he does, I think Costa's a much better athlete to be able to get back on his feet. And the striking department is going to be levels on the side of Alessandro Costa. I think Costa knocks him out, which, let me make sure I get the correct odds there. Plus 200, so there you go. You get double your money there. I took him by finish too because Costa does have multiple submissions on his record, and Stuart Nickel's going to want to try to get the takedowns, going to try to want to get this fight to the ground, and whether that means Costa throws something up off his back or reverses position and finds submission that way. Either way, I don't see this fight going the distance. I think Costa knocks him out, but that cashes the finish line regardless, and then obviously the plus 200 on the knockout. And then his money line, when it first opened up on DraftKings, was minus 390. I went ahead and used that as a parlay piece. So 3 plays in this fight, Costa by finish, specifically by knockout, and then a little parlay piece on his money line. I think he runs through Stuart Nickel here. I'm going to look at his point spread later in the week when it comes available. I have another fighter on this card that I'm pretty confident in that I took a point spread on. So we'll see what the Costa point spread is, because I really think he's better in all departments than Stuart Nickel. So we'll see what that is, minus 5.5 or whatever it may be. But for now, I have him by finish, knockout, and his moneyline parlay piece. We'll see what the point spread odds are as a potential play later. Next fight is Thomas Peterson, Guilherme Pat. I'm going to be quick with this one. I don't think Thomas Peterson's very good. However, I could see him getting the takedowns going and taking over the fight later on. But I don't know. I'm going to lean on the side with Guilherme Pat here. Striking's going to be much on the favor of him, and I just think he's going to be the much better athlete here. I mean, Thomas Peterson's obviously got that wrestling background. So again, if this fight gets into rounds 2 and especially 3, he could probably start to take over. So definitely don't disagree, so to speak, with people being on the side of Peterson. I know he's one of the more popular pick'em or dog shots, but I'm just going to err on the side with Guilherme Pat. I mean, nothing that Thomas Peterson recently has shown me that he's going to be anything in the UFC. And Guilherme Pat, he's got the frame, the athleticism, and the build to do something and maybe make some noise, but the urgency for him is severely lacking. I don't think there's much of a killer instinct, so I could definitely see this pick aging like milk. But again, coin flip fight for me. I'm going to take the better athlete. Massive reach advantage, maybe point style fights. If he can just avoid getting taken down over and over, I think he wins this. So give me Guilherme Pat just on the money line, minus 110. It's a pick 'em, so I'm not going to have a ton on that one. Main card opener, Jose Delano, Robert Ruchala. Like I said earlier in my picks, I'm really high on Delano as a prospect. I think he's very well-rounded, very seasoned with his experience outside the UFC. Ruchala's super tough, so I could see him dogging out and maybe make this close, or maybe even land something at the end to hurt Delano. But I think Delano's style's on him. 30-27. Ruchala is super tough, and even though Delano could very well slime him out here, I'm going to say he wins a decision. That's plus 135. His money line when it first opened on DraftKings was minus 375, so I used that for a parlay piece. And then I took his point spread, I alternated down to minus 3.5 just to give a little bit more leeway there. The odds weren't that much worse. Minus 150 as opposed to the minus 5.5 was minus 120. Not really sacrificing too much there. All we need is just 130-27 round, and this will cash. Obviously, if he finishes Ruchala, this will cash as well. So Delano by decision, money line parlay piece, and his alternate point spread. KO, TKO, or decision is minus 195 for a parlay piece as well. So a couple parlay pieces and a couple straight bets. I'm really confident in Jose Delano. So again, these Contender Series guys that are coming in with experience, I tend to favor more and have a little bit more faith in. So, and just watching the tape on Delano, I think he's going to be really good. A guy that could get into the rankings fairly quickly in the UFC. So willing to put a little extra coin down on him in this. So 2 parlay pieces, 2 straights, all in favor of Jose Delano here. Next fight is Tommy McMillan and Manalo Zucchini. I think, again, I kind of said this. I don't think McMillan is nearly as good as his odds are making him seem. He's minus 1350 right now. Eventually, I think he's going to get knocked out in the UFC, but it's not going to be here. Although, if you take a peek at the Zucchini knockout line, it's plus 1600. If you got a little something to sprinkle there. But I think McMillan runs through him. I'm going to say he wins in round 1. That's plus 115. I think he subs him. I took submission in round 1 or 2. That's minus 105. Anytime you can find a minus 1350 favorite and get either plus money or basically pick 'em money here, I think it's worth it. He should make this look really easy. Yeah, he's minus 1350. Zucchini is probably here just for a paycheck, and they'll build up this Sean O'Malley wannabe, this emo Sean O'Malley, and go from there. But McMillan to win in round 1, sub in round 1 or 2, and then as a parlay piece, him to win in round 1 or 2 is minus 285 or 265. Decent little parlay piece there. I also took the under 1.5 rounds, which I didn't say it in my breakdown of Bakoyev and Gore, but I took the under 1.5 rounds in that fight too. I'll have it posted, but that way you heard it here first, or you heard it from me. Under 1.5 rounds as well. So I'm really banking on a quick finish here by Tommy McMillan, and people are probably going to be like, oh my God, he's so good. He's going to get slimed out eventually. I'm telling you that right now. So, but he's going to make it look easy this week. All right, next fight. My app is acting up. Sorry. Rafael Estevam and Ethan Ewing. I think Ewing is a really good prospect, but I think this is a little bit of market overreaction based off of the Malcolm Wellmaker fight. I mean, Wellmaker's just like a perfect matchup for him. And I thought Malcolm Wellmaker was a little bit overrated as a prospect myself. So the thing for me is I just see Estevam being able to take him down over and over and over. And I don't think the cardio is going to be as much of an issue for him at bantamweight, because he could never make flyweight. He's clearly having troubles cutting weight, or maybe just didn't even make the effort to. And when you're sapping yourself of weight more than you need to be, it's going to lead to cardio issues. I think his cardio is actually going to be improved at bantamweight. I just see him taking down Ethan Ewing, more than a handful of times here. Ewing's obviously going to have the striking advantage. There's no doubt about it. But, Estevan's 14-0, and he's been winning in the UFC. And this is just way, way different than fighting Malcolm Wellmaker, who there's just absolutely no chance at wrestling whatsoever. So you can stay and box in the pocket. And yes, you got to, avoid the big shots, which is not going to come from Rafael Estevam. But I just see him getting controlled for, 8-10 plus minutes in this fight and doing enough to win a 29-28. It's going to be a sweaty one, especially if he doesn't do a lot of damage in the Vegas Apex. The judges are going to favor damage, so I'm not super confident in it, but I am going to roll with Rafael Estevam. Dog shot at plus 136. I think that line's closing a little bit closer to pick 'em lately. Estevam by decision at plus 250. But I am going to do a bonus bet on Ethan Ewing to knock out Rafael Estevam in round 3. That's plus 1,500. If Esteban's cardio fails him and he's tired from the takedowns and Ewing can start to piece him up, maybe he needs a finish in round 3. If he's down 2 rounds from being taken down and controlled for the first 2, maybe he could find that finish. Plus 1,500 certainly worth the sprinkle. And if that were to happen, I'd be all in, because then it's like, all right, you beat a great striking prospect in Malcolm Wellmaker. Now you beat undefeated grappler. You're definitely for real at this point in the UFC. So I'm going to fade him here. Not super confident in Rafael Esteban, but I think he gets it done here, 29-28. And hopefully we cash on all fronts there. Next fight is the biggest favorite on the card, Abdulrahman Yakiev and Brenison Ribeiro. Let's be quick with this one. Yakiev should knock him out in like the first 2 minutes, and everything I bet on is going to be relying on that result. We got Rahman Yakiev by knockout in round 1 or 2. It's plus 100. He subbed Rafael Suquara in his last fight, but I think Brenison Ribeiro is a little bit better on the ground there. Not really saying much, but at the end of the day, if you get rocked and someone takes your back, it doesn't really matter how good on the ground you are. They'll probably be able to find the neck anyway. But I'm going to say Yakiev gets a knockout this time. Him to win in round 1 as a parlay piece when it first opened was minus 210, and I jumped on it. It's now up to minus 280, so still not terrible value, but I think he runs through Brenison Ribeiro here. I actually even bet on this fight to go under a half a round at plus 130. So we got Yakiev by knockout in round 1 or 2 at even money. Him to win in round 1 as a parlay piece. So that's submission or knockout. Doesn't matter. Round 1, parlay piece minus 210. And then the under half a round. That means this is going to be less than, 150 seconds to me. 2.5 minutes or less at plus 130. I think he makes this look super easy. He's minus fucking 1,800, all right? Co-main event is Virna Jandiroba and Tabatha Ricci. I'm going to stick with my guns on Virna Jandiroba. I think it's going to be super close. And I know, a lot of people are saying this is a good time to be catching Jandiroba. Older age, coming off a title fight loss, but I don't know. I just think kind of similar logic to, the Estevam and Ethan Ewing fight. I just think Jandiroba is going to be able to rack up control time here. I think it's a little bit more even on the or not a little bit, a lot more even on the grappling side of things in this, but I still think Jandiroba holds a significant enough advantage there. And I don't know, I'm just not super sold on Tabatha Ricci, man. Like, yeah, she knocked out Amanda Hebos with like a perfect placement elbow right to the eye socket. I get that. That would fold me. But I don't know. Something's just telling me Virna Jandiroba is going to be able to wrestle and control, again, similar to, Rafael Esteban. I think she could rack up, almost 10 minutes of control time here and ride out a 29-28 victory. Not super confident in it, but I still think at this age, she's probably never going to touch gold in this division, especially when Zhang Wei Li comes back. But I think Jandiroba could kind of be like an Alexa Grasso for that division. Obviously different ages and different styles, but probably never touch gold again, but prevent almost everyone else from touching gold. So I'm going to say Virna Jandiroba gets it done here by decision, plus 160. Her money line, like I said, I bet on it earlier this week, is plus 100. She's now flipped to the favorite, so clearly money coming in on Jandiroba. We'll see how it goes, but I'm going to roll with the cross-eyed vet here and get back on the winning track after losing her title fight. And the main event, Manny Moicano and Chris Duncan. I got a bunch of bonus bets on this because I think this fight could end in a multitude of ways, but all of it, I think this fight's going to end inside the distance. That's already one of the parlay pieces I played. It's minus 400, so pretty chalk, but both these guys, I think, have high finishing upside. And the reason I like this fight to not go the distance is because I think both guys have high finishing upside at opposite stages. It's not they both are finish early or bust, or slow starters. One has high finishing upside early, Money Moicano. The other is kind of a slower starter and builds as the fight goes, accrues damage, and then finds the kill at the end. Chris Duncan. So, and even in an interview, Chris Duncan said he sees him knocking out Money Moicano in the 4th round, and I see it playing out pretty similar to that. To me, at this point in Moicano's career, he's gatekeeper status. I think he had his shot at the gold, which he wasn't even supposed to have. I'm not going to knock him for that. Obviously, he saved that event. But he got tapped in the 1st round by Islam. Not really any sweat off your back, but the loss to Dariush just is not a good look. Not at this current form of Beneil Dariush. If it was 4, 5, 6 years ago, okay, sure. No sweat off your back, but he knocked down Dariush, and if you can't knock out, like I said, if you can't knock out Beneil Dariush in the big 2-5 or the big 2-6 like we are now, I mean, you mean to tell me he's going to knock out Chris Duncan? I just don't see it. Obviously, if he gets to the back, he could end this pretty quickly, and that's definitely a path to victory here. And again, I like Moicano, but I just think this is a classic case of, a guy out of his prime, welcoming a guy that's fully in his prime into the rankings. And I think Duncan can hang in the wrestling department, avoid sticking his head in a bad area. And he's got a good guillotine and submission game himself. And Moicano, we've seen him gas out before and shoot sloppy takedowns and get his neck snatched up. So that's not out of the realm of possibility either. But I really favor him, Chris Duncan, that is, to get the damage on the feet going, especially in the later rounds, some ground and pound, and eventually find his way to a TKO victory. So I got a lot of plays on this fight, and most of them are bonus bets. So Chris Duncan by finish is -110. Again, I think it probably goes by knockout, but it also covers, Moicano diving into a guillotine or something along those lines. I took this fight over 2.5 rounds because, again, I'm going with Chris Duncan here, and this bet kind of aligns with that because if he can survive early submission attempts from Moicano, I think he drags this fight into round 3, 4, maybe even 5, and then finds the finish later. +100 there. So both of those plays are pretty much even money. Like I said, the fight to not go the distance, -400 parlay piece. And then let's get to the bonus bet list here. Moicano's sub round 1 or 2 +550. Duncan KO TKO round 3 or 4 +600. Duncan KO TKO in round 4. What he said in his interview, I'm gonna believe him. I'm gonna trust him. +1600. Why not? Moicano by knockout +900. I mean, Duncan's very hittable, and we've seen him be hurt before. And Moicano does have some decent power. So, this could be a doctor stoppage even, like against Benoit Saint Denis, and that would count as a knockout TKO. So +900, and then, like I said, Duncan's got a nasty submission game himself, and if Moicano dives into something, especially if he's tired, we could see Chris Duncan find a submission. That's +900 as well. So 3 regular wagers, Duncan by finish, over 2.5 rounds. Fight does not go the distance parlay piece. And then 5 bonus bets, with the worst odds being +550. So decent amount of action on the main event, but I'm really just going to kick back and enjoy this fight. I like both of these guys. I really love Renato Moicano's personality, but I think his time as a contender is about to pass, and Chris Duncan in that prime, they're both at American Top Team, but I think Duncan starts to make his surge upwards in the rankings. I don't really ever see him being a title contender, but, he could be that fringe top 5, just right outside, maybe gatekeeper, whatever it may be. But I think he finds a finish on Renato Moicano later in the fight. But I'm definitely not going to write off Moicano early on, especially. So that's going to be all my picks and bets. Like I said, we're coming off a losing card, so hoping to bounce back this week. We've been really good at the Vegas cards. I know there's only been 2, but both of them have been profitable for me, so hopefully make that 3 in a row at Vegas at least. And like I said, we'll be out of town this weekend, so I'm going to try to film a recap and probably package it with early picks for UFC 327, similar to what I did this week. And I'll try to get that out as soon as possible next week, but it might be a little bit later than I would like, just, again, since I won't be in town. But anyway, that'll do it for me. If you guys do choose to bet, please be responsible. Only bet what you can afford to lose. If you disagree with me, that's great. May the better man win. Fade me if you want to. If you agree with me, Don't take my picks as set in stone, but if you do choose to ride, best of luck to you as well. So anyway, that'll do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time when we recap UFC Vegas 115. Goodbye.